Hey everybody, this is Carissa with Fearless Talk, and this week we're on part 3 of our webisode series, Who Is He? So first things first, I want you guys to kind of think about a situation where somebody maybe bought you something or did something for you out of love, or maybe bought or did something for you that maybe you felt like you didn't quite deserve, but it was kind of like, all right, well, thanks for what you've done, but I really don't know what to do with this. You're just really taken aback by what was given or what was done for you. I guess like an example of this would be my mom. Like sometimes when she goes to the mall or to the store, she might buy me like my favorite candy or like a really nice shirt or a new bag or something from the store, or the mall that she really thought that I really liked, because she'll say, well, I got it because I love you and I know you like these things, so just a little treat for you. And it's really awesome to know that there's someone out there that really cares about you and thought about you throughout the day. And God does that. God thinks about us, and he loves us so much that there's his qualities about him that are really presents for us, because we don't get the extent of his love, the extent of his forgiveness. We don't get that here on earth, So, God's grace is really, something that we have to really appreciate and know that, it's really worth having, okay? And there is a Bible story in Luke chapter 15, verses 11 to 32. It's called the parable of the lost son. And basically, I'm going to sum it up, kind of paraphrase it, so bear with me. I am using the ESV version of the Bible, so, this is where I'm getting my verses from. So basically in the story, a young son asks his dad, can I get my inheritance money? And the dad's like, yeah, sure. He gives him his money. The son goes to some country somewhere and basically just like blows the money on wild living. So whatever you can imagine to be wild, that's what he spent the money on. And so he spent this money. And then it was like a great famine in the country, and now he's poor. So he has no money, there's famine in the country, he's starving, and he decides to kind of work, and he goes to a field and he helps this guy like basically feed his pigs. And he's just realizing, he's like, listen, the pigs are eating better than I'm eating, and he was like, and the servants back at home, they're eating way better than I'm eating. Like, this is ridiculous. So he begins to come to his senses, and he says in verse 18 and 19, he says, I will arise and go to my father, and I will say to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and before you, and I am no longer worthy to be called your son. Treat me as one of your hired servants. So basically at this point, he just knows that he really, really screwed up, and he's like, Dad, this is his speech for his dad. Like, basically he just wants his dad to take him back for the wrong that he's done. So he prepared a speech to say to him in hopes that his dad would take him back. So he finally gets to go home. Now on his way, it's pretty far down away from the house, and the dad is like looking for him, and he sees that he's coming down the road, and he just runs down the street or the dirt road, most likely dirt road, but he just runs, and he hugs his son and he kisses him, and he's just so happy that he's home. And the son says in verse 21, he says, Father, I have sinned against heaven and before you, and I am no longer worthy to be called your son. So he tells him the speech that he prepared, and basically he's just like, forget all that. He tells the servants, he's like, listen, get him a robe, get him some shoes, get him a ring, kill the fattest calf, we're about to party. And he tells the servant in verse 24, he's like, for this my son was dead and is alive again. He was lost, but now he is found. And they begin to celebrate. So now they're having this huge party for the son. He's home, and the dad's just elated. He's happy. But now apparently there is an older brother and an older son. So he, sees all this like partying going on. He asks one of the servants, he's like, what's up? And the servant is basically like, oh, well, your brother's home, and your dad threw him a party. And the brother is pissed, like he's angry. And he gets to speak to the father, and he tells his dad in verse 29, he says, "Look, these many years I have served, and I never disobeyed your command, yet you never gave me a young goat that I might celebrate with my friends." And then the dad says, verses 31 to 32, this was his reply. He says, "Son, you are always with me, and all that is mine is yours. It was fitting to celebrate and be glad. For this your brother was dead and is alive. He was lost and is found." So this story is just so interesting, because as I was reading it, I kind of placed God in the shoes of the father and me in the shoes of the son, the young son, because honestly, I'm just going to be flat out honest. There are lots and lots of times where I really disobeyed God and I did things on my own will, and because, I wanted to, not really thinking. And then when I came to my senses, I was like, oh my gosh, I messed up. And, in your head, you kind of you really do prepare these speeches. You're like, oh my gosh, I just pray that God really takes me back. And then you sit there and you pray to him, you're like, Lord, please, I'm sorry. I don't know what else to do. I don't know why I was thinking these things or why I was doing these things. And I'm just really sorry. Please, please, please just take me back. Because this is where you need to be. You need to be with God. So I'm just like, please take me back. And each and every time, honestly, friends, I'm going to tell you, each and every time God has took me back with open arms, no questions asked. I asked for forgiveness. I told him that I was sorry, and he forgave me every time. And, I'm sure if God was physically here and he could kiss me, he would kiss me too, just like that dad did for his son when he saw him walking down that road coming back to him. And, I really just want you guys to know that no matter what has happened to you, or no matter what you have done, you deserve God's grace. You deserve God's forgiveness. You deserve his love, because you can't find that stuff nowhere on earth. There's no one that's going to forgive you or love you like God is. There's no one that's going to give you that grace, that nobody's going to do that. Just nobody is really going to do that on this planet. And it's really important for us to appreciate what we have with him, and just how strong our relationship and our bond can be with him when we work on it and when we ask for God, to please, forgive us. We're really sorry, And, I really want to talk about the older brother as well, because he was like, I've done all these great things and I never got a party. And this reminds me of a lot of Christians nowadays, because they feel like, they do good things. Maybe they give a couple cents to charity, or, they go to church every Sunday, and, they pray when they can, or whatever the case may be, every day, whatever it is for that particular person. They feel like maybe they're not getting or receiving God's grace because, maybe they're not getting parties as, maybe the new person has, or something like that. What I'm saying? But, here's the thing. Ephesians 2 verses 8 and 9 says, "For by grace you have been saved through faith, and this is not your own doing. It is the gift of God, not a result of works, so that no one may boast." So God's grace is not something that can be boasted for by people. So it's not like we can say, oh, well, because we've done this, God gives us grace. No. God gives you grace because he wants to, and he gives you grace because he loves you. Now, if you're boasting and saying that, oh, well, it's because of this, this is why I have this. Okay, no, that is not a sin, because it's not because of you. It's because of him. Our Christian walk is not based on us. Our Christian walk is based on him. And that's something that we got to remember. Okay, now, if you're a Christian and you pray all the time and you go to church every Sunday and all those things, that's great. And God has not forgot about you. Just like the Father said, listen, what's mine is yours. He's telling them, it's okay. You're still my son, but because this young boy was lost, because he was one of those sheep that drifted away, and he came back to me, I gotta celebrate this. And God will do that. He will celebrate for those people who have walked away. And sometimes, those seasoned Christians might feel lost, or might feel, hurt that maybe God did something, big for, the person who just came into Christ. But don't worry, God has never forgotten about you, and he won't. He never will. So keep your head up. I also want to say, don't ever think that God can't use you for anything despite, your past. Because there was this day, I went to a Christian store with my family, and there was a t-shirt that basically had a bunch of people listed and things that they'd done. So it was like, Peter denied Christ, David had an affair and was a murderer, Noah was a drunk, Jacob was a liar, Gideon was afraid. So like all these people in the Bible, they all had problems, they all had issues, but guess what? God used them. God used them, and they had a purpose in their life that they didn't see before. Because God will do that to you. So don't ever think that you don't have a purpose in life. Don't ever think that God doesn't love you, because he does. He really does. And his grace is so much bigger and so much better than we can ever imagine. So this week, friends, I ask that you pray to God this week to see what areas of your life has he bestowed grace upon you. Really allow him to show you the grace that he's placed on your life, because some people don't see it. I really want you to really find some area of your life where God has really placed grace on you. Okay, so I just want to say that I hope you guys have a great week, and can't wait to see you next week with Phyllis Talk. Okay, this is Carissa. Have a great one. Bye.